Hi all, welcome to Deep Developer YouTube channel. So in this video, we'll be understanding and implementing the caching in the Spring Boot application. So here we'll be using a student applications where we'll be implementing caching so that whenever we hit any API, instead of taking the data from the database, it will look for the cache and then it will return to the application. Let's get started. Before going ahead with the video, I will suggest you please subscribe to the channel to get videos on Spring Boot microservices, API development, Java, and more stuff on the backend development. So let's get started. So where we see this caching in our day-to-day activities. So imagine you are using uh, any shopping application, Amazon or Flipkart. When you open the app, you see within a fraction of second the product images are being displayed into your applications. So it did not take much time. So how this happen? And if you take the second scenario, for example, you log out the uninstalled the applications, then when you relog in the application, it took few seconds or times to show the images on your mobile app. Then here the caching comes into the pictures. In the first case, all your images are stored or the data stored in your local cache. So if you see the application setting, you can see one cache section is there. On there is some data storage are being used. So it is a temporary location we can say. So let's go a deep into technical terms. So cache is any temporary storage location that lies between the application and the persistent database or any third-party application. So means your applications will be there and database will be there. Between that, a cache will be there. So that cache store this most frequently or recently accessed data, so that further request of the data can be served faster. So in the second time when the request goes to the DB, it will not goes to the DB. It will go check for the local cache. If in the cache data is there, it will return, and if not, it will go to the DB and update the cache and return the result. So what we will achieve in this video actually, so we'll first understand the little bit technical terms of this enable caching, cacheable, annotation cache put and cache evict. Then we will implement one by one in our code. So we already have one dummy code. Don't worry, I will explain you about all this. This is a student applications where we will be having one controller, repository, service, entity, and some properties file. So let's get started. So in general we have like four type of caching: CDN caching, database caching, and in-memory caching, web server caching. So in this particular video we'll be focusing in the in-memory caching. So depending upon the interest, I will be creating separate video on the other topic of the caching. So stay tuned with the video. So let's first create one dummy project. So I'll go to this Spring initializer start.spring.io. I'll be using Java versions Maven and 3.5.7. I'll be naming as com.developer artifact as caching and jar file. You can make it properties.application.properties or application.yml. Java 17 version I'll be using. So as I was showing, like I will be creating the different API as also like add student, update student, or delete student, and get student. So for that, I will be need Spring Web to make a RESTful API. Next, to store this uh, particulars data, we need a database. So here we will be using in-memory database, H2 database, so that we no need to have any separate MySQL. And of course we are dealing with the data, so we'll be using Spring Data JPA. So we can use Lombok to set getter setter and other things. So you can generate and open this project in the IDE. So I will suggest to code along with me. And in the sorry, in the description section, I will be putting this repo links. You can take a reference from there. So now after opening in the IntelliJ, so what happened? So if we see this application.properties file, I have added data source for this in-memory database, H2 database, and these are few setting to go to this database console and radial auto update so that it automatically generate the table. So next, what tables we have created? We have created the student table, have ID, name, and email, where ID as a key. Then we have created one repository, and after creating the repository, we are creating one service, and on that service we are adding one student, and we are updating on student, and we are getting on student by the ID and deleting. So it is in quite simple. And meanwhile, I have kept one like the logging mechanism SLA 4J. So you can learn more about logging in our videos. You can go and search logging by dev developer. You will get few more videos. So here I will explain one by one. Just first I am explaining the project structures. Then I am creating one controller. So in the controller we have add API, update API, get API, and delete API. So as of now I have run this application. I will show you like as of now what how this we know that this is calling to the database, just to make it perfect, like whether everything is working fine or not. So I will go to this student.add. So I have adding name and email. So when I click on this send request, so you will see like it is sending a request, and it will take few seconds to store in the DB. So it if you think take it as like it takes like 12 seconds. So let add one more records. So for if yes, and click on send. It will also take like similar seconds. So if we go to this console, we can see like first we have saved our student, and then database called is happening to save the student. So here is the API is there. Like if you go to this save, you can, it is the basic simple things, and then in the add sections or in the add functions, we are calling this student, and it is saving it. So here we will be getting this record. So if we see that we have one H2 console, so H2 slash console, so we'll go to this localhost 8080 and H2 slash console, localhost 8080 slash consoles. Now username is username, and password we have set as password. Click on the student, and you will see these two records is there. So I will clear the consoles, and there is a one get by ID attribute is the get by ID API is there to get the get the details. So I will go to this get API. So here get slash one. So one is we can like deep. So if we click on send, so we are getting the values in this much milliseconds. So if we see the logs, so here get a student API is called, and then database is calling to get the student. So it is not a good things, because now we will implement this caching so that it will not go to directly the database call. Instead it will look for the cache. So how to do that? So to use the caching, we will first go to this caching application. So if we check this, so first we need enable. So we need to enable caching. So enable caching in the main application class or the any configuration class using enable caching. So this is the main application class, or if you have any class which is configuration, so on that class you can add this enable caching. So here we will directly add this main application. So enable caching. So control space. So it is coming from cache annotation enable caching. Now we'll go to this controller. So this is the API. We'll be coming to this post, put, and delete API later. Let's go to this get API. So in this get API, uh, we have this find by ID. So we'll go to this find by implementing caching on the top of like service layer. So here we see that ID is unique. So we want to store this cache, create one cache, and store the details based on the ID. So we have one more annotation called cacheable. So cacheable marks a method whose result should be cached. So here get by ID method result we should be cached, right? Find by ID method result should be should cached. So if the method is called again with the same argument, the cache value is returned without executing the method. You need to specify this cacheable and the cache name. So we'll use cacheable and the cache name and the ID. So let's go to this application cache ble cacheable, then name, value we can make it as student, and key. What is the key? Based on how we'll be storing. So key is the ID. Okay. So student is the value. So else we can no, we'll be using the student again and again in the later. So make it final name. So we'll be create variable. Now we have used this student as a cache name and key is the ID. Now let's run the application and check whether we are calling this DB call or not. If we see this application got started, so again we'll be, because we are using in-memory database, so first we will store few data. So let's go to this post API, add student. So add one more student, Deep, Deep. So click on send. So we see like two details or the two records are there. So how we will verify? We go to this H2 console. Now we reload it. Continue. Password, because it is in memory database. So every time when you run the applications, all the cache will be lost as well as this database will also be lost. So we have two records we have stored. Now I will just clear this console. Now if you go to this get, so in the previous get API we used to take like something 1.2 seconds. Now I will send it. So get have like one record. So in the first time it took like 8.7 millisecond. If we check this log, get a student, then database call to get a student means we are calling a database to get the student details. Now I will clear again, then again I will hit it. So I will go to this postman. It takes 8.7, like 875 milliseconds. If you click on send, then we are getting that, we will be getting the details. But how much millisecond? 23 millisecond. If you check this log, it just logged a get a student in the student controller. But in here, we did not got this particular statement because we are getting the details from the cache based on ID. Now let's update the records. So I will update this first record. So with the email ID subhadeep@gmail.com. If we send, we say the update a student call and the database call to update the students, and it is getting updated. Now if we check this first DB, so yes, the email is updated with subhadeep@gmail.com. So if we again hit this get API, if you hit this get API, you should give the updated value, right? So if you click on the send, but it is not giving the updated value. Email should be subhadeep@gmail.com, right? subhadeep@gmail.com. And if you see this, a get a student is called, and it is taking the data from the cache, but cache is not getting updated while we use post API or the put API. So we need to configure our put method as well as the post method, means get API as well as the update API. So we have one annotation called cache put. So cache put ensure that a method is always executed. And its result is then placed or updated in the cache. So method will be always executed in the cacheable. Method will be first time executed, and the next time the data will be added in the cache. So useful for updating the cache entries after the data modification. So we'll be using cache put here. So we'll first stop the applications. So we'll be using cache put. So in the update API, cache put, and we'll be using a similar cache like student cache, my cache name, and what will be the value? Value, it won't be the ID because we don't know like what is the ID, right? So so in response it is saying it response, it is it result is then placed in the update in the cache. So if you check this cache implementation, so it is returning one response called result. So we can get these values from the result. So result, we can get the values from the result. So hashtag result star result. Similarly, uh, what is this ID? Result is the student. If we click on the student, so we'll get this ID, name, and email. So that's the ID we are passing. Next, we need to update this student add also. Now let's run the application. The application is got started. So first we'll be going to this postman, and we'll add one record. Go to this post API, because every time we are running this application, as we are using H2 database, the everything will be got lost. So click on the, so a record is created. So if we see these logs, now save a data called, and database call, and it is database is calling to save get the details. So we'll first get the details. Now we'll be getting this deep and deep@gmail.com. Now if we see, go to this put API. Now we'll be updating the first record, right? So whatever the record, record is deep and d.@gmail.com. So so email I will make it as deep instead of d@gmail.com. Go to this update, and if you go to this see update student and database call to update a student, and it is getting the database call. Now the student data is getting updated. If you go to this get API and hit for this one, now we see that we are getting that updated email, right? And so in this local cache, when we update, the cache is being updated, and from the cache we are getting the value. If you check the log, only this there is no database call is happening. Now one other API is that, oh, delete API. So let's delete the delete one ID. So we have this one record, so we'll be deleting this one. So if you click on this send, and if you go to this log, so delete a student and delete call to delete the student. Now the student is got deleted, right? So if we see the student details deleted successfully, right? So one is record is deleted. So if you go to this gate and click on send, it should not give the values, but it is giving the values. Means it is deleted from the DB, but it is not deleted from the cache evict. So it triggers the removal of one or more entries from the cache. So you can specify all entries as true to clear the entire cache, or target specify the entries using the key attribute. So we want to specify a particular attribute should be got deleted. It means we want that this value should be deleted based on the key. Key is here the ID of the student. So we'll be using cache evict, and we'll be using, sorry, this cache, same cache name we'll be using, and it will be based on ID. Now run the application and test this delete API. This application got started. Now we'll go to this post API to add one record. So click on this send. Now we'll be click on this get API. So we are getting the value. So we see only this no database call. Now we'll be delete this particular records. So click on delete. So if we see that delete a student, so database call to delete a student, because we are deleting, so it should be delete from the database as well. So we are deleting from the database, and meanwhile it is also deleted from the cache as well. So, and if we again go to this get API, and if we click on the send, we'll getting some error. So what was that error? We see student not found. So that's all about this particular annotations in the cache. So in this particular video, we mostly discuss about in-memory cache. So where we have used concurrent hash map internally to store the our student cache and their corresponding values. So in our enterprise level applications, we have popular using Redis, Caffeine, Ehcache, Hazelcard. So let me know in the comment section if you want a specific video on Redis caches or not. So if you want to understand like how this cache is working internally, so if you go to this concurrent map cache manager. So if we see it is storing it is implementing the cache manager, and it have one concurrent map which store the ID and the cache. So ID is here our student and cache is section. So if you go to this cache manager, so it's a interface, and it is if we go to this implementation, here it is implementing the simple cache. Here we are using concurrent map cache manager we have just now show. And if you see this if you go to this documentation, you will understand much about that, but it is not required. So if you see this cache, it is also interface. It's have like a name, it have name and the object. So here get by student, if we do, then it will pass all the values. So if we go to this cache implementation, here we see concurrent map cache we are using. And this concurrent map cache has have one string and the concurrent map. It store the values. So here name is the student, and in the student, like we have ID, right? So ID 1, then the values of the student 1, then ID 2, then values of the student 2. Like that, it is a store data structures. So it is a collection data structure, you can say, and here we are storing the values. So that's all a little bit about the internal working of caching. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the video.